Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to another episode of the MT and Me Science and History Edition. Most all of us know what this is. It's a battery. And our world literally runs on these things, from remote controls and cell phones all the way to satellites orbiting in space. They all are powered by batteries. Now, they're not powered by AA's necessarily, but smaller, bigger, less electricity, more electricity, they're all basically the same thing. A battery is a battery. Now, did you know that the word battery, in reference to something that stores electricity, was coined by none other than Benjamin Franklin? I have worked with electricity and electronics my entire life, and somehow I didn't learn this until last week. But in 1749, Ben Franklin was experimenting with electricity, which he loved to do. You all know the story of the kite and the thunderstorm and all of that. Well, he was playing around with something else, something called capacitors. Now, these are electrical components designed to store electricity for use later. Kind of a battery when you get right down to it, but a little bit different, okay? So he chains several of these capacitors together to increase the power that they store, and he called it a battery. Now, he was using a military term. A battery, in a military sense, is like a group of weapons for a specific purpose, like you would have a battery of cannon, for example. That's a whole bunch of cannons lined up, ready to shoot. Well, he had capacitors lined up, so it was a battery of capacitors, hence he called it a battery. His invention, if you want to call it that, was not very powerful and certainly not very practical and efficient. It's not something that you could power your cell phone with, right? So not much happened until about 51 years later. And another scientist halfway around the world, an Italian physicist named Alessandro Volta, was also working with electricity, and he designed what was, in essence, the first practical working battery. It was totally different from Ben Franklin's, and it really had nothing to do with Franklin's research. The two men did not know each other. They worked completely separately. But Volta's battery is what has, over the years, the centuries, evolved into this and every other battery that we have today. And like I said, we literally could not live without these things. They power the world. Oh, and by the way, Monsignor Volta is the man that the word volt comes from, as in an electric volt, a measure of the amount of energy within a current. Volta, volt, you can see the connection, okay? So, batteries, truly a necessity. Now, we still don't have a battery for Pearl. That's going to be coming in the next few weeks, though, and we're getting closer and closer. What we do have today is this box, which contains a tray for said battery for Pearl. So we're going to open this box up, see what this tray looks like, because I frankly don't know yet. It may be a total surprise to me. We'll find out here in a few seconds. But we're going to open it up, get the tray out, and see if we can't figure out how to install it under the hood of the MT. All right? You know, I think I'm going to need a bigger battery. It's good to have you back watching the MT and me once again, my nomies. So we've got this box, and the label says Battery Hold Down Tray Univ, which I think means universal. So it ought to work on Pearl, if it'll work universally. Let's get the box open. because it's apparently tapes for space travel. Or it seems like it anyway. And see what this universal battery tray actually looks like. Like I said, this is a first for me. I haven't seen it yet. And there we are. Size-wise, it looks like it should do just fine. I told you we're going to have to figure out a way to adapt it to fit into the space under the hood at Pearl, and we're going to look at that in just a second. It really doesn't have mounting holes in it aside from these, which I think is kind of neat because it did like plus and minus, like the positive and negative battery. just a cute, but that gives drainage to the tray. I'm also going to put some sort of the door's trying to close on me. Oh, wait a minute. I'm getting squeezed by the door. Okay, as I was saying, I'm going to put some kind of padding here in the bottom of it too to add a little cushioning. It needs to be something permeable, so if it does get wet, it'll soak through and go ahead and drain out the bottom. All right, that's neither here nor there. The other part that's included with this tray that is not always included with others is the battery hold down, which, let me go ahead and pull this out of the bag. Okay, these come off, they go through these holes, they hook into these holes, and the clamp sits on top of the battery, and you lock your battery down in place with it. All right, so we're not going to worry about that until we get a battery. I don't think there's going to be any problem there. What we need to see, though, is how this is going to fit into the space under the hood where the battery has to go. So let's go look at that right now. We have a very limited and specific place here that this battery has got to sit, okay? First of all, let's get the old tie down out of the way, because chances are we're not going to be using it. But here's the new battery tray. Let's see what we can work out here. Well, it looks like our tray, if anything, might be a little bit long. I believe we could drill and rivet the back and drill in right here, maybe even screw it in place here along the back edge where it's sitting, and this is the other ridge. So that would give it 2 points of support. It's not going to go back against the case there. Besides, I can't do that anyway because that's where the tie down has to hook in. So that's got to be free. If anything, that means this needs to be out here. The only thing that concerns me is actually rubbing against this battery isolator. This is what separates the alternator feed to go to this battery, which is designed to run the engine, and the other battery, which will be in the back, which is designed to power everything in the back of the motorhome. This splits the feed going so that both batteries stay charged, but one battery cannot actually feed off of the other one, so that if you drain one battery, it's not going to drain the other one. Sounds kind of complicated, but it's really simple. All it does is isolate the two batteries. It's an important part. Now, this could be moved up or even moved to another location. And it's probably, I could even notch it out. I just don't really like it touching the fins. This is a heat sink. I'm about to drop the battery tray. These fins constitute what's called a heat sink, and that helps to keep any excess heat in this unit from building up. which is not supposed to really get hot, but it can produce a little bit of heat. And if the battery tray is actually touching it, then that heat's going to get transferred to this metal tray, which there again probably is not harmful, but I don't think it'd be a good thing either. So if I use this tray, we're going to have to do something about that. That spot right there is going to need some modification. If nothing else, I can just go in on the tray and notch out this part right here and this part right here, or bend it down, and that would solve the problem. It won't be touching anymore. So, and give you a closer look here at the battery tray sitting in position. Like I said, there's places back here where we could rivet or bolt into the frame, and then right across here is the other support so that we can fasten there. That leaves all of this section just hanging out. But with 2 points of connection, especially one right here in the middle, I think that would handle the weight of a battery with no problem. As I pointed out, I think in an earlier video, the battery that we put in Pearl is probably going to weigh about 40 pounds. But this is a good, sturdy, heavy steel frame. It's not going to bend or show wear and tear because of a 40-pound battery at all. I'm going to go with this as a good, workable tray to put in Pearl, and that will be our next focus, figuring out exactly how we want to put this in and hold it in place. Once we do that, it'll be battery time. And not a moment too soon either. I am really ready to get some power in Pearl and see if we can get her at least fired up electrically, because the next step will be to get the motor running, and then we'll get out on the highway. Da, 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 da. Well, maybe not that quickly, but you get the idea. Okay, so we have the battery tray, and we've got a goal now. Let's get it put in Pearl. Not today probably, but we are going to work on that. So something else we are going to work on right now, though, is I have bought another roll of plastic and a fresh roll of heavy-duty tape, because every one of Pearl's orifices need to be recovered with plastic. All of the window plastic is torn up. The sun and ultraviolet rays and the winter temperatures and the wind and the rain and a little bit of hail and sleet have gotten to them. The plastic on top is also leaking worse than ever. So we're going to go all the way around, get all the old plastic off, and give it brand new coverings to try and help Pearl stay cozy and dry on the inside. All right, it's actually the next day here on the MT and Me, and what a beautiful day it is. We've got great weather. We've got a roll of plastic. We got a roll of tape. And we have a lot that needs to be covered up. So, let's get to work. Well, that's one side. Now we get to work on Pearl's beautiful face. She needs an eye job. Well, we're a little over halfway there. Now, my wise and observant gnomies will note that I'm not redoing this piece right here behind me. Mainly because it doesn't need to be redone. It has weathered the situation much better because it's lower and out of the sun for most of the time. So I'm going to let it be. However, this window definitely got to have something done to it. I'm going to go ahead and recover this one. Although it doesn't look too bad, we might evaluate it and see. But this one definitely, and we still have to do the back window because I think it's the worst of all. So, we ain't done yet. Well, after careful examination, I think this window's going to be all right. The tape's holding good, the plastic's still okay. I'm going to leave it as is. So we're going to focus on putting plastic on this monster opening right now. Here's a bit of good advice. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. And follow us every week right here on the MT and Me. Now, if you'll pardon me, I got one more window to cover. So let's recap today's work. We started with our back window here, which was in pretty sad shape. And also with the other side window here, which was in equally bad shape. This part, it's another one of those parts I didn't redo because the plastic's holding up fine and it really hasn't shown any wear and tear. So I just retaped a couple of places. We'll let that go for now. Bathroom windows all redone. Well, it used to be the bathroom anyway. Front side all covered. Coming around to Pearl's eyes. Oh, they look much better than they did now. Much better. I think her eye job is very flattering for her. She looks like eyes wide open, ready to go. Hit the road. We decided this side window on the overcab was also doing okay. So I let it be. I left this part as it was. Did a little retaping is all, because the plastic's in good shape. We redid the humongous window on the side, so that'll be a big difference. The door is still doing just fine. It's holding up quite well, better than I thought it would. And on the back, I've already put the sign up, but you can see that window is much better too. So, I think it's a good day's work, and it'll keep Pearl a lot drier. Oh, speaking of that, we still have the top to do. Darn it, and I thought I was finished. Ha! Hi everyone, Future Russ here. Now, you should be seeing me at this point putting plastic over the top openings here on Pearl. Obviously, that is not the case because, well, apparently someone forgot to push record on the camera. And since nobody was up there except me and the camera, it's a pretty short list. So, my apologies. I did get plastic over the top covers where the AC was and for this vent, and also where I took out the vent for the refrigerator. Okay, so they're all covered with new plastic. Maybe that'll help the leaking situation a little bit. I have also talked with Ree, and she suggested maybe we should get like a real heavy tarp and put over the top. Something along the lines of the billboards that you see on the side of the road. You can buy those things because they only use them for a few months usually, and then they put them on the market. They are fantastic tarps, and you can get them pretty cheap. So I think I'm going to look into that and look for a more solid cover to go on the top of Pearl while we are working on her, just to keep her dry until we can actually get up there and finish off the roof. You know, that's neither here nor there for today. Sorry about the footage working on the top, but, you know, things happen. I just wish that they didn't happen to me sometimes. Oh well. Back to the present. So long from the future. All right. Well, I think we've had a pretty good day. In fact, got a lot of work done here. We got our battery tray in. Now, we don't have it installed, but we do have a plan. And that's more than I had before. Now that I actually have the physical tray, I can see what I need to do to actually get it put in. All right. So we got that to look forward to. Maybe in the next video, we'll see. Got all the plastic recovered on the windows. Still have some plastic left, at least a couple of linear feet. And I got some tape left. So I have leftover product. I'm happy with that as well. It's always nice to have something to hang on to for the next job. And now, I frankly am all worn out. So I'm going to call it quits for today and for this week. Thanks a lot for coming along for the ride, for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Remember, we're on YouTube every Sunday with a new and exciting adventure as we rebuild Pearl, our beautiful mobile traveler motorhome. Okay, so be sure and stay with me. Thank you, my nomies, for making it all work. You'll find a link below to buy me a coffee. And by the way, thank you, Tammy. Bought me 3 coffees. Not 1, but not 2, but 3. Wow, so much. I appreciate it. You may know me, girl. And the rest of you, the link is below if you'd like to help out. There's also a link to the mtandme.com where there's a lot more information about mobile traveler motorhomes. Okay. And hey, that's about it. Remember, we got a Facebook page you can follow as well. The MT and Me at Facebook. Hope to see you there. Hope to have you here next week. Thank you, my nomies, for everything. I'm Russ, and we will talk later. Maybe I should frame it or something.